Have you ever found yourself giving and giving, pouring your heart, energy, and love into people, only to realize that they never truly appreciated it? Have you ever been in a situation where your kindness was mistaken for weakness? I want you to pause and think for a moment. Think about the times you've helped someone, sacrificed your own needs, or gone the extra mile for someone you cared about. Now think about how many of those people actually valued your kindness. Because here's the truth. Kindness is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It has the power to heal wounds, mend relationships, and create deep connections. But without wisdom, kindness can leave you drained, exploited, and lost. The Bible teaches us wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And in all you're getting, get understanding. That means kindness alone isn't enough. We need wisdom to guide our kindness. Wisdom teaches us when to give and when to step back, when to trust and when to protect ourselves, when to love unconditionally and when to set boundaries. Today I want to take you on a journey, one that will teach you how to be kind without being weak, how to give without being used, and how to love without losing yourself. The misconception about kindness: we've been told from a young age, be nice to everyone, always be kind, help others whenever you can. And yes, kindness is a virtue. But the problem is that many of us grow up believing that kindness means never saying no, always putting others before ourselves, and tolerating disrespect in the name of love. That's where we go wrong. Even Jesus, one of the kindest, most loving figures in history, didn't heal everyone, didn't help everyone, and didn't give his time to just anyone. Think about that. He was compassionate, but he was also wise. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, and gave hope to the hopeless. But he also walked away from those who refused to listen. He knew who truly needed his help and who was just there to take advantage. How many of us have ignored this principle in our own lives? How many times have you given your time, energy, or love to people who never valued it? How many times have you let people stay in your life just because you didn't want to seem unkind? The truth is, not everyone deserves unlimited access to your kindness. And if you don't learn to balance your kindness with wisdom, you will spend your life feeling exhausted, used, and unappreciated. Kindness should never cost you your peace. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt guilty for saying no? Have you ever felt like you were obligated to help someone, even when you didn't have the energy? Have you ever found yourself surrounded by people who only seem to need you when they want something? This is where wisdom comes in. Jesus was kind, but he was also selective. In the book of Matthew, there's a story about a rich man who came to Jesus saying he wanted to follow him. But when Jesus told him to give up his wealth and follow God, the man walked away disappointed. And here's the key part: Jesus didn't chase after him. Jesus didn't beg him to stay. He didn't lower his standards. He didn't try to convince the man to change his mind. He let him go. And that's what many of us need to learn. If someone in your life only values you when you're giving to them, but disappears when you need support, let them go. If someone only loves you when you meet their expectations but never considers your feelings, let them go. If someone takes your kindness for granted and constantly drains your energy, let them go. Your peace is more important than pleasing people who don't value you. The difference between selflessness and self-sacrifice: there's a big difference between being selfless and being self-sacrificial. Selflessness means you care about others. It means you want to help, to serve, and to be a source of good in the world. But self-sacrifice means you do it at the cost of your own well-being. Jesus never sacrificed his peace or his purpose for anyone. He took time alone to pray. He rested when he needed to. He surrounded himself with people who strengthened him, not those who drained him. That's the balance we need to find. Because true kindness isn't about giving until you're empty. It's about giving from a place of strength, from a place of wisdom, from a place of purpose. If your kindness is costing you your happiness, your health, or your inner peace, it's time to reevaluate how you're giving. Why some people will take advantage of your kindness? Let's be real. Not everyone has good intentions. Some people see kindness as an opportunity to manipulate, to take, and to use. Think about the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson was strong, powerful, and chosen by God. But Delilah wasn't in his life to love him. She was there to find his weakness and destroy him. And that's exactly what she did. Now, think about your own life. Who in your life only comes around when they need something? Who drains your energy but never refills your cup? Who makes you feel like your kindness is a requirement, not a gift? These are the people wisdom warns us about. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone deserves access to your time, energy, and love. Some people are in your life only to take, and it's your responsibility to recognize them. And let me tell you something, protecting yourself is not selfish. It's survival. Jesus didn't let everyone in. You don't have to either. If you've been taught that kindness means always saying yes, always helping, and always giving, it's time to shift your mindset. Kindness without wisdom will leave you broken, exhausted, and resentful. But kindness with wisdom, that's power. So as you move forward, remember this: be kind but set boundaries. Give but protect your energy. Love but never at the cost of your self-respect. Because you were not created to be used, you were created to make an impact. And that impact starts when you learn the balance between kindness and wisdom. When kindness becomes a burden, let's talk about something important: the hidden burden of kindness. Many of us have been raised with the belief that putting others first is always the right thing to do. We've been told that being a good person means never turning anyone away, never saying no, and always being available. But what happens when kindness turns into a weight that slowly crushes you? What happens when you feel obligated to give even when you have nothing left? What happens when your generosity becomes an expectation rather than a choice? This is why wisdom is essential. Think about a river. A river brings life to everything around it. Plants, animals, and people all benefit from its flow. But what happens when a river gives away too much water without being replenished? It dries up, and when it dries up, it can no longer nourish anything. That's what happens when you give without limits. You become empty, you become exhausted. You lose yourself in the process of trying to help everyone else. And that's not kindness, that's self-destruction. Even Jesus, who was the ultimate embodiment of kindness, took time to rest, to pray, and to separate himself from the crowds. He understood that in order to continue giving, he had to replenish his spirit first. So ask yourself, are you giving from a place of strength, or are you giving because you feel obligated? If you're constantly exhausted, constantly drained, and constantly feeling unappreciated, it's a sign that you're giving more than you should. And that's not wisdom, that's not love, that's self-neglect. The power of saying no with love. Let's break a big myth. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you wise. Many of us struggle with saying no because we're afraid of disappointing others. We think that if we refuse to help, if we set boundaries, or if we protect our energy, people will see us as selfish. But here's the truth. Well, saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value yourself. Well, saying no doesn't mean you're unkind. It means you understand your limits. Well, saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. Think about Jesus again. When Lazarus was sick, his sisters sent word to Jesus, asking him to come immediately to heal him. But Jesus didn't rush. He waited, not because he didn't care, not because he wasn't compassionate, but because he knew the right time to act. When he finally arrived, Lazarus had already been dead for 4 days. And yet Jesus performed a greater miracle. He didn't just heal Lazarus, he raised him from the dead. This teaches us something powerful. Just because someone expects you to act immediately doesn't mean it's the right time for you. You don't have to respond to every request. You don't have to meet everyone's expectations. You have to act when wisdom tells you to, not when guilt pressures you to. If Jesus himself didn't drop everything for every request, then why should you? How to be kind without being weak. So, how do we balance kindness and wisdom? How do we give without being used? How do we love without losing ourselves? Here are 3 key principles to follow. 1. Set clear boundaries. Understand that you are not responsible for fixing everyone's problems. Know when to step in and when to step back. Make it clear to others that your kindness is not a free pass for disrespect. 2. Listen to your energy. If someone always leaves you drained, take a step back. If helping someone makes you feel worse, that's a red flag. If a relationship is one-sided, it's not love, it's dependence. 3. Give from a place of strength. Help others only when you have the capacity to do so. Be kind, but not at the cost of your own well-being. Choose who and how you give, just like Jesus did. Being kind doesn't mean sacrificing yourself.